The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, new outside bar, now open on match days.
There's a chance here, a great save by Turner from McClare. A terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brentford against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble with saving that.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. There's no Lord Hillsborough tonight. I think he's gone for a drink with Owen Coyle and Claudio Ranieri because they were, at a loose end or something this evening.
Has he gone to the Rumour Lounge?
He might be in the Rumour Lounge. So I'm James. I'll be looking after things for this evening. And let's meet your panel for this week's podcast. Now, I was going to write a little rhyme for everyone. But I was making pie for tea, so I only managed to write one for Vic. So here we go. Her name is Vic. She likes a big pint.
Oh, James. I made a pie too.
What pie did you have?
We had a cottage pie.
That's not like pie though, is it? It says pie, but it's not a pie.
I had mashed potatoes, James.
Not a pie. Never a pie.
Did you just roll?
No, mine was a pre-made pie.
Pastry.
It was a pie minister pie, the creme de la creme of the pie world. Moving on, I forgot it's not the pie cast that we're recording tonight, is it? It's the Wednesday week podcast that we're doing tonight.
It is.
Correct.
Good evening.
Dickie Owl, I don't have a rhyme for you. Sorry.
No, Davies, scumbag Collish, that's me.
There we go. That'll do. Well, we've got no Lord Hillsborough, we've got no Eddie, we've got no Fudge. So we've rolled out a very adequate replacement for the evening. It's Mr. David Garrido.
Oh, that's very kind. I mean, I thought I heard the distinct sound of the bottom of the barrel being scraped. Me.
Never.
Another beer.
Is it good to be back?
Let's get down to business. Let's talk about Nottingham Forest, and let's get this bit out of the way first, because the penalty and the debate that has ensued from that. Now, I've watched this back probably 20 times, and I think every time I watch it, Westwood's challenge gets later and later after the ball has gone. So at the time I thought, yes, that's a good interpretation of the law. He went for the ball. It's a yellow card. Having watched it back a couple of times, that ball is, well, it's almost back up the other end of the pitch before Westwood takes the man out. I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards saying that should have been a red card. What do you guys reckon?
The thing is, though, like Jonathan Buchan and Rob Staten, we're all about the whole new rule, and I don't think we're qualified enough. So maybe David has a bit of an insight on this new rule about what's a yellow, what's a red.
Yeah,
Double jeopardy.
Called it right. It is a yellow. So as long as the keeper is making a deliberate attempt to go for the ball, then it's only a yellow card, because basically triple jeopardy of red card, penalty, and ban for the player who's making a foul is too much, and they thought it was too harsh. Obviously, yes, it's late, and it's clearly a foul, and it's in the area, so it is a pen, but it is only a yellow card. And it's funny because I was walking out of City Ground with Westy, and there were loads of Forest fans who were just there lining up waiting to tell him that he should have been sent off. Who do you think you are? Anyway, and so he took it in good grace. He was brilliant, actually. He was like, "Oh, you reckon, do you? Okay." And he just told them what basically I've just told you, which is, the laws of the game state that that's what happens if you're making a deliberate attempt to get the ball. So actually, as much as the ref against Forest, we'll talk about the ref against Brentford later, but the ref against Forest made some slightly odd calls. I think that one he got bang on, actually. So that's the most important call of the game, and it was correct.
Do you think it was a genuine attempt for the ball, though? Because I've watched it, and I think the ball has... it's so late that I think he knew the ball had gone and thought, I'll just risk this. I'll take the man and just hope the referee thinks that I'm going for the ball. It's so late.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that there's other mitigating circumstances, if I can put it that way, which is that actually Hunty was coming back as well. So it wasn't fully like the last man. There were other people covering. So it wasn't like it was an absolute... It was clearly a goal-scoring opportunity, but I think it's slightly I suppose, muddied by the fact that there were other players around him. And look, whether he was playing for that, for that decision to be made and to look like he was going for the ball, or whether he genuinely was, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. The fact is that's how it's perceived, and that's how the referee saw it. I personally think he went. I do think he actually went for the ball. I don't think he thought, "Oh God, hang on a minute, I've been beaten here. Better take him out." So,
I think if the boot was only the foot, though, if that had happened, it was a Forest keeper taking Rhodes down or whoever, I think we'd have been a little aggrieved. I know the rule. I agree with the rule completely, but I can kind of see why they were a bit miffed, to be fair, because I think even now the offside rule now has changed. So kind of there's weird bits about people being in different positions, two people behind the ball and whatever. Now I'm confused as hell, and it just adds to the confusion, I think, when people aren't clear on what the actual rule is.
Well, maybe refs should speak and explain. Maybe interviews with managers. Why is there no ref that comes out after a game and says, "Go on"?
I think I'm quite lucky in this respect, in that Uriah Rennie sits quite close to me quite often on the North Stand, so I get to ask him at half time.
That's not lucky, trust me.
Every half time I see him coming towards me, and you can see him go, oh god, it's her. I'm like, Uriah, come over it, Yuri. What about this decision? He's like, I'm not working. Leave me alone.
Yuri is when I sit inside of Yuri at Hallam, I can't criticise a referee because he's down my neck like as quick as anything.
He has an answer for everything. He
absolutely does. It's annoying.
It's like having your own personal Garrido at half time.
All right, so the penalty was what it was. It was, shall we say, a fairly weak penalty, but Kieran guessed right and saved that. And the away end went fairly mental. What ensued in the next kind of 70 seconds, something like that, was something pretty special, wasn't it? I mean, Alman Abdi, his Wednesday career so far hasn't really taken off. If you're going to announce yourself as a Sheffield Wednesday player, there's no finer way of doing it than that, is there?
I've been saying, I think, to the guys around me at the match, that he's been having these 15 minutes coming on a sub the last few games, and I thought at some point it was building him up to give him a full game, and I thought that might be the making of him. That slowly, right, he's fit now, right? We'll ease him in gently and then bring him in, and then he's starting and he does that. So you can't argue with that one on Carlos's part. It
was one of those, there's that kind of tweet that's been around for ages. Every so often someone quotes about describe a goal that the celebration was like a near-death experience. The away end when that volley hit the back of the net was like that. I had about 4 people on top of me. There were just limbs everywhere, and it was special. But I mean, it was a cracking goal. I mean, any volley just looks brilliant, but the way the ball rose and hit the back of the net, it was spot on, wasn't it?
You know what I think it was? It wasn't just a great technique, it was the reaction, because he had a man on him as well, and he was so quick on the pickup just to go, right, I'm getting there first, and to hit it outside of the right boot. And also, I think this is the thing, it's relief from everyone. It's relief from him, it's relief from the crowd, because, Watford fans, when we signed him, were absolutely gutted, almost more gutted than they were about Forestieri. And, they sort of say, this guy's a proper player in the Championship, he can completely dictate games, and he's got such vision, and we hadn't had enough time to see that from Alman this season. So I think there was a lot of kind of frustration that came out there, and relief that finally got off the mark, and I think that actually made him play better after that. I think that he really settled into the game and then started doing what he sort of hasn't really had the chance to do so far this season, because he's been playing in the different position of on the left of midfield. So I think everything came together in one moment. It was just glorious.
So from facing the prospects of potentially going 1 down with a penalty, and then a minute and a half later we're 1-0 ahead, going in at half time in the lead, By the way, Nottingham Forest joined my list of shame of clubs that don't sell beer at half-time.
Oh, no.
It's
Oh, yeah, I
not-
remember that well.
It's not good.
That's why you need to get your Hooters time in first, James.
Well, we'll come
That's
to
what it's all about.
Hooters,
We'll-
we'll cover that one.
We'll come to Hooters in a bit. But second half. I mean, in terms of the Wednesday performance, second half, it was top notch, wasn't it? It really was. It was some really good stuff. I thought they played some really nice football in the second half, and I mean, Forestieri's goal. What can we say about this? I was kind of right behind it in terms of the angle that it hit the back of the net. And the only thing that I saw was just literally the ball hit the back of the net. I had no idea how he did it at the time. I've watched it back a few times. I'm still not entirely sure how he managed to do it. Wow,
You still can't tell. I was sat. I saw it come through. I obviously wasn't there, but I saw it come through on Twitter. The goal, and he'd been booked, and I'm thinking, how overzealous is a referee booking him for celebrating? And then I saw the celebration and thought, yeah, that's fair enough. A yellow card.
It was a hell of a technique for the goal, wasn't it?
It was unreal, wasn't it? It was just like it seemed to slow down as well. Everything seemed to go into slow motion once he chested it down. It was like, is it? Surely that can't, surely at some point someone's going to push him over or someone's going to cut the ball off him. But no, he was just unreal. It was like a flashback to Mikhail DiPiede, wasn't it? It was up there. It was on that level. It was unreal. I mean, and that's the stuff that we know that Fessy can do. And hopefully, we've talked about it a million times. The contract's in the bag now. The wages are in the bag. Hopefully, this is the time that we get to see Fessy back to himself.
Well, while you're mentioning DiPiede, can I just share a little story about him? The only thing, apart from the goals, the main thing I remember about him is seeing him after a match one day walking down Penistone Road, and he got labels on his shoes. He's obviously got a brand new pair of shoes. He's still got the labels on, and that's something that anybody I say
Maybe
like
kept
that.
the receipt.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
David, did you speak to him about the goal afterwards?
Yeah, I did actually. I mean, listen, I think it wasn't just the technique of the goal. That was brilliant, obviously. I think he caught the keeper completely by surprise because, well, he was unsighted a little bit, but that doesn't take away from what Fernando did. But also, he had two or three players on him because it wasn't just the man he was backing into, it was the one in front of him that, almost nicked the ball off him. And then just that real snap, quick technique to get his foot over it. And a bit like sometimes strikers who just have this sort of complete awareness of where the goal is. Like you very rarely see him smash it like 60 yards wide or, nearer the corner flag. He's kind of got this complete positional sense of exactly where he is and what he needs to do to get it in a dangerous area. I mean, he was obviously like delighted. I think the reaction, the celebration, I sent in the video because he'd only seen the picture, and he just kind of replies, "Ha ha ha!" That's kind of.
Did he put ja 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 ja?
Yes.
Well, I like it when Spanish people do that.
In Spanish, yeah. And listen, I think he needed that celebration too because obviously this season's been a bit weird in terms of his relationship with the club, the chairman, the fans, everything. But he needs that love. There's no two ways about it. He's one of those players. Call him mercurial, call him a genius, call him flawed, or whatever you want. But he needs that, and that means so much to him. It really does. So that's why that hopefully we've turned that corner now. Clearly, he's scoring spectacular goals. Even the one against Brentford was a great goal. What better player to have in good form heading to Leeds? So I think we're all right now with Fernando. I think it's all good. It's all good in all sorts of ways.
The passion in that celebration, that was real raw outpouring
Not
of
an
emotion,
ounce of
wasn't
passion in him, is there? Not an ounce of passion.
But the thing
all
is,
in it for the money. Not an ounce.
You've still got fans saying that. You've still got fans who were going on about, when he went off when he was substituted against Birmingham, and questioning his commitment and questioning this, that, and the other. And I hope that moment really answers some of those people and makes them realise that anyone that thinks that this guy doesn't care and doesn't really want to see Wednesday do
why are people that bothered about that? Surely, I mean, actually, who was it? Diego Simeone said this the other day. when one of his players came off and had a similar reaction. Well, the manager should like it, because of course the player is going to be a bit miffed that they've been taken off. Why wouldn't you be? If you're just happily accepting it, then maybe that's admission that you weren't up to it, or maybe you are a bit tired. But he clearly thought he had more to give. That's what you want to see, no? I mean, I'm just flipping this on its head, but it's not just because it's Forrest. It could be anyone. If you are, that incensed, why didn't I stay on, whatever, and whoever had to have a word with him, and you saw Hutch have a word with him before he went off. But I like that. Well, that's a proper kind of guts and come on, let's, I should have been on that pitch the whole game. But hey, do you know what? He'll just kind of channel that into the next game. I don't think it's such a bad thing.
No, I agree. I mean, we've got players. We know we've got players around the club that are quite happy to sit and do nothing and draw their wage out. And when you've got players that want to be on the pitch and don't want to come off the pitch, I struggle to see why there's an issue with that. But I think that the problem that Fessie's probably always going to have now is because of what happened earlier in the season. People look for every little thing, don't they, and turn it into something that it isn't.
I defy anybody that didn't have the kind of the hairs on the back of the neck stand up when Fessie piled into that crowd. They've not got a heart if they didn't. I watched it ages. I loved it. Actually seeing his reaction, I would have done anything to be a yard away from him like those guys were then. Absolutely awesome.
Vic, if you were in the crowd and Fessie jumps,
don't want to know.
Jumps into the crowd. No, it's a genuine question.
He's a married man. He's about to become a father. I can't answer this.
Which part of his anatomy are you going to touch?
His face.
Ah, that's a good answer. That's good.
It's fair play to have a go though. I mean, there was a woman, I think, up front of me. If you actually look at her, she's got a full taste. Yeah,
it's definitely the crotch region, isn't it?
Region.
Yes, that's the good way of describing it.
Yeah. All right, so we know that Eddie's not on the podcast tonight. Now I've concluded there's one reason why Eddie's gone AWOL this week, because he's not responded to our invitations to join the podcast, and that's because of what happened after an hour, where after the game last week, where his favourite player had a blinder. Let's be honest, he had a bit of a nightmare moment, didn't he, at Forest? Vincent Sasso showing us that maybe actually, after all that...
Let's use Lord Hillsborough's words here, James. He had a bit of a fluff.
A bit of a fluff. That is actually the words that he used, isn't it?
He's left us in our notes.
The notes that he sent us. Not a great moment for Sasso, was it?
No, not at all. I think that's the... I mean, we saw the Sasso in the game before. A couple of goals, clean sheet, did really well. Did we get a clean sheet game before? I can't remember.
No.
And but that was kind of, that moment was I think for me there's a mistake in Sasso, and I'm talking that kind of the Liera, the Bullen, no disrespect to any of those guys, they all had that mistake in them somewhere. Something that Tom Lees doesn't have, but he had it, and he obviously showed it.
I think the thing is though, then you have to go back, don't you? And you have to think about it, and you have to just look at his face.
You are so vain, Vic.
That's all that matters.
Are you reading that off Eddie's notes that he sent you?
Yeah, Eddie sent me his notes. Just look at his face. Forget the fluff. I think the exact words here.
It's with him. It did look like the ball was going out of play, and had he not been robbed, it would have gone out of play. But it's just the fact that it kind of was quite easy to outmuscle him. It was quite easy to get around him. And then literally three players, didn't it? The ball to actually went past one, deflected off the second, past the third on the line. They were all in a line, so they were all kind of completely unsighted, really. So he it's one of those where you kind of have to. You've got no one else at the moment. I mean, we decided not to strengthen that position either in the summer or the January transfer window. So, that's what we've got. And he showed what he can do with his two headers against Blackburn. Well, it's his header and his other goal against Blackburn. But I think you've got to try and give him backing. He's going to be a little bit of a liability, but sometimes he will pop up in those funny positions where he might create something or create a bit of havoc. So it's kind of, you've got to take the good with the bad, like Vic says. Is what else can we do at this point? Are you going to change it around now? Are you going to push Hutch back there? No. Are you going to put Poodle in? No. So I think, right now, we've just got to go with it and hope that partnership starts making even more sense as we go along, really.
let's
Poor old poodle.
let's be.
Aw.
Let's look at the positive side of this, because as it turns out, we got away with it. Sasso got away with one. We hung on. We got the 3 points, and looking back, that's a really good win, isn't it? This was the game that I think a lot of fans thought was the banana skin, where we could slip up, and that's a really, really good 3 points.
Now for the interesting part, James. How drunk did you get? Where did you go? What did you do? Who did you see?
Well, you know what? I feel.
You stayed out late that night, because I got my 3 rings at like midnight.
I did. Do you know what? And this is, we had our first drink at 11:30 in the morning, and me and John were last people out of the Sheffield tap at 12 o'clock at night.
Get away! You never last that long.
Seriously,
You did.
yeah.
You did.
Never. Don't believe you.
But apparently, I was snapchatting Vic all evening, which
you were.
I don't remember. However, however proud I am of that, it pales into insignificance in comparison to Cleggy and the gang from the Cop End, because this is, I saw this story knocking around on social media on Monday, didn't realise it was them. £636 bar bill that they ran up in Hooters in 2.5 hours, including £300 on Jaeger bombs. Guys, that is some serious effort, isn't it?
My ex-girlfriend was one of those people. As part of that bill. That says a lot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did she drink this much when she was with you, or as it happened since?
She drank to forget. Yeah.
Trying to drown it all out. Like it is, yeah. She don't even know his name now.
If you haven't seen this story that's been, I think the Star actually ran it as a news story about the mystery group of Wednesday fans. There were 10 of them, and it was genuine. They ran up a £636 bar bill. However, it doesn't take into account the fact that they also got NHS discount because of Clegg. So it was actually
really disappointed.
It was actually higher than that.
The thing that really disappointed me is that I love Notts Forest away, because you get to go to Hooters, but they didn't eat anything, and the food is awesome. How did they not eat anything? Yes, it is.
I know they did have some
carbohydrates and cheese.
They did have some chicken wings. Let's be fair.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Say $9.99 per person, all you can eat wings every Monday. Surely you've got deals on like that every day of the week.
I once drank, I had chicken wings on a Monday night in Hooters with David Hurst there, and I drank more than David Hurst that night. Wow. So that was my claim to fame. I drank more than Hursty.
I feel like I should be recording like a new sponsor tag for the beginning here, which is the Wednesday week is sponsored by Hooters.
Oh, can you imagine? Imagine the fun we could have. You don't get none of that in Riverside Cafe, do you?
Here's a question. Where would you find all of the following in one place? Chairs, tables, beer, Vic, James, more beer, Dick Yow, Eddie, more beer, and the rest of the Wednesday Week gang. That's right, it's the Riverside Cafe's new outside bar. All of your favourite lagers, ciders, soft drinks and hand pump ales are now available outside. Come and see the gang and give it a try. The Riverside Cafe's new outside bar, now open on match days.
Right, moving on to the lesser positive of the games from this week. Tuesday night against Brentford. Well, who wants to go first? Who's going to give us their lowdown on the night?
Yeah, it was a bit. The first half was very meh. I took Paula for the second game running, and she said over
she's
about
a lucky girl, isn't she? It's
she
not just
is
Valentine's. It's non-stop.
No, he said whenever I get a free ticket, I'll take her. Don't worry about that. And she was leading across me about 15 minutes. She went, "This game's shit, isn't it?" And it was a fair comment. I couldn't really argue with her at all. It was pretty poor the first half, and it just, yeah. What can you say about it? It's just Brentford were better than us all over the pitch. I thought they passed it really well. Their centre half, number 6. I don't know his name. David will probably know it off the top, but I thought he was awesome.
Probably Harley Dean. I think he had a good game. He put himself about a bit. Although, are we going to talk about the penalty? Was it a penalty?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Right. On that, for me, yes, it was a penalty. He falls on him. He Fernando was taking him basically on the byline. He's inside, and he basically falls on him. I can't see, in my view, how that's not a penalty. Although the idea that the referee cost us the game, I don't agree with. I think we lost the game because we defended 2 aerial balls quite badly, quite poorly, and that's why. And that was it.
I think we've got to come back again, though, to the reputation thing, haven't we? Does Fernando's reputation precede him? Is that the issue yet again with that referee? And I must admit, like, I pointed it out to the guy, Ben, behind me, and I was saying, like, is it me, or is every time the referee's giving something against us, he's looking at Fessy and he's looking at Carlos every single time? Was he out there to try and make a bit of a name for himself and cause a bit of an issue? Because every single time he looked straight at Carlos, who was obviously kicking off, because it's, 1, there were shit decisions, and 2, it's Carlos. But it did seem like a bit of a referee show for the first half. It really did. But yeah, it was a nailed-on penalty. But then again, had it been any other player, would we have got it? Was it just because of Fessy's reputation, which is wrong? But is that the reason?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's obviously the ref is going to say it's not. We've seen before from last season, and you know, I remember when I went to Watford away and saw him play for Watford against us. I think he scored a couple of goals, and you know, at that point, obviously he was a rival player, and I'm there going, he's diving around the place, blah blah blah. I've never told him this, mind, but even so, you know, yes, of course, and that is, you know, whether it's an actual factor. You guys were there. I mean, like you were there. You were seeing where the referee was pointing and stuff. I think we've got to be careful. We don't say that this is then an agenda against Sheffield Wednesday, because I don't believe that's the case at all. I don't think, you know. I mean, this is where I'm gonna disagree with Carlos in his interview after the game. And basically, it's a flash interview. It's the one that happens straight after. Pretty much, and you know, emotions are high and everything. But you know, to suggest that we get these decisions given against us just when we're getting a run together, just when we're threatening to go 5th, you know, blah blah blah, I just think that's luck. I don't think that's anything choreographed. I don't think that's anything untoward. Okay, it's frustrating, of course it is, but I don't think that there is this kind of secret plan somewhere in EFL HQ where they go, oh, look, Sheffield Wednesday are getting a little bit too good for themselves. Let's put them back in their box and give them a few rubbish decisions. You know, it's just the way it works. And if, for example, you know, we get that bit of luck back in the playoff semis or the final, then no one will care about that game that we lost at home to Brentford, you know, in February. So I think, you know, it does pan out. And I think overall, we've had some rubbers of the green that we haven't deserved. We've had some games where it hasn't gone for us, and we've had games where it's been neither one nor the other. So I think it's just more to sort of taking this and making it mean more than it does. It was a bad decision. I think everyone's agreed with that, but I think it means that there is something, you know, that they've got against us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it was just, you know, we've had a lot of good luck recently. I mean, you only have to look at the Birmingham game and a few others where we've had that bit of luck where a ref's not seen something or he's not given something and it's gone in our favour. And I think that's football at the end of the day. It's going to happen week in, week out. There's always going to be something that you're not happy about. It just so happened that night wasn't our night as far as the referee went. But 9 times out of 10 this season, it has been our night. So...
It's the old adage, isn't it, that evens itself out, and it really does. You know, from having watched, you know, Wednesday for enough years now, it really does even itself out, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. I thought the other night, though, the referee was, and his official, his linesman, assistant referees, what you call them, I didn't think they were communicating very well. At one point, I think the lino gave a corner and then the ref gave a goal kick, and there were lots of occasions where he didn't seem to, and they've got the headsets now, they do communicate. It didn't seem like they were communicating, and we were just getting frustrated by the lack of kind of, you know, cohesion between the officials like there was between the Wednesday and the first half.
The thing is, I don't think we should get distracted by the fact that, you know, there's a lot of, you know, talk about did Tasso get blocked for the second goal and, you know, Forestieri penalty or not penalty. We still lost the game because we conceded 2 goals and we scored 1. That's the facts. And, you know, had we defended, especially the first one, better, then, you know, then the outcome would have been different. We can't complain about this if you've made relatively basic mistakes. So you know that's for me what the main thing is. We might have lost to Birmingham. They hit the frame of the goal 3 times, but we could have won against Brentford. You still end up with 3 points out of a possible 6. What's the difference? Nothing. So, you know, I'm not sure what the point of the discussion is, if that makes sense. And I think, you know, more let's take the second half.
All right then, go on, bloody hell.
I'm not having a go at the pods. I'm having a go at the people who are kind of just deliberate to have an argument. It's like, but look, you know, this happens. It's all right. You know, we needed to start better. And I think had we played the second half, how we played the first half, there could have been a completely different set of circumstances. We were slow. We were slow, and it's not the first time it's happened. And I think that's something that maybe is a genuine concern, is that kind of intensity. When we play well with tempo. We play well with real kind of movement. You know, we can't score every goal like Barcelona, but, you know, we like to play it around and move it with urgency, which is where we're missing Kieran Lee right now. But I think if we can try and recreate that in some other way, like we did with that urgency, having to try and get back into the game in the second half, then, you know, then I think we've got half a chance against Leeds. So, you know, that's the main thing to draw out of it, I think, out of Tuesday night.
I don't think there's any doubt that Brentford, certainly first half, were by far the better team. How big a factor do we think that the wind played in things in that first half? Because I've watched that first header back a few times, and it just doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look like that should be hitting the back of the net. Does that make sense? It looks like it's just something weird's going on. Like the keeper should be able to save that. And I just wonder, you know, obviously, Vic, Rich, you guys were there. It was damn windy, wasn't it, that first half?
Yeah, it was blowing around. I kind of know what you mean, but it's kind of, I just thought I think Davey's right. I mean, I'm not kind of hung up on the ref, but it was their own fault. We should start getting better than that. We shouldn't be conceding 2 goals, you know, in such quick succession. And I thought if a third would have ensued, we would have certainly seen Hillsborough empty very, very quickly.
Okay, a question that might sound like a negative question, but it's a very genuine question. Jordan Rhodes, we've seen 1 goal in 5, a relatively quiet performance on Tuesday night. How do you guys feel that he's doing so far in his Wednesday career, 5 games in?
I think it's difficult to say, isn't it? I think, you know, it's the same thing that a lot of Teddy Chuckers, to coin a fudge phrase, said when we first signed him. If he's not going to get the balls into him, he's not going to get the goals at the end of the day. And the first half against Brentford, he wasn't getting a single thing towards him. And actually, controversially, I think that game would have been a Dave situation. Looking back now, no, it would. He was a big bloke, and then the second half, you know, we were pumping balls forward, we were trying to get balls in the box, but we were lobbing them forward to 4-foot Fessy, and you know, it doesn't work like that. I think Rhodes needs something to work with, and I think he's a really, really good player, and that's proven. There's no question about that. You know, his stats are there, but he needs the balls through to be able to do something with it, and there just wasn't any of that the other night. There was nothing. But I think he did well with what he had. And when Winnall came on, he looked a hell of a lot better. And hell, when we had 10 strikers up front, he looked a hell of a lot better. But, you know, he needs those balls in.
I think sometimes you just see Jordan Rhodes as quite a tall bloke and you think you've got to ping the high balls to him. You don't. I think the thing is it actually starts way back. And if we throw everyone forward, there's no outball from the keeper. So basically, we have to come back. We're facing back, and then we start sort of passing it sideways a bit, and then ultimately we then ping a long ball. And that's not the best way to kind of get the best out of Jordan. I agree with Vic about Winnall. When he comes on, I think they naturally sort of strike a partnership together. The question is obviously how you kind of incorporate all of these players, because you know, are you going to start Forestieri and Rhodes up front most games? Probably you are. I'm not too concerned at this stage, actually. I think he's still just kind of finding his feet. He's working so hard. I mean, you know, I know that the Forest game, he end up on the floor a lot, but that's just because he's putting himself about. And I think that's fine. But I think he's a real all-round striker. I think he can run in behind, he can come drop deep, he can play it, he can win a flick on. So I think we need to kind of use his talents better. But maybe there's a question with exactly who is his best strike partner. And do you have just one off him, or do you have two off him? Do you actually change the system completely, and maybe have both Forestieri and Winnall? That's if you're going to kind of go for it against Leeds, that's tempting, isn't it? You've got those two combining, Winnall and Rhodes, and you've got Nando a little bit freer. But then it means that you depart from the 4-4-2. We've been playing that since we can remember, really, under Carlos, apart from the first few games of last season. So. I don't know, but I think Winnall is for me a really interesting part of the way that we play now with Rhodes mainly.
I agree with David. I think I'm not too concerned about Rhodes at all at the minute. I think for a guy that's not played a lot of football this season, being used sparingly at Middlesbrough as he was, to come on and kind of expect him to kind of hit the ground running is probably a bit blinkered. So Carlos is pushing him. I mean, he's playing 90 minutes, and you can see towards the end, certainly against Wigan, and I thought the other night as well, he did look a little bit a bit cream crackered towards the end. But I was interested to see that Winnall, he dropped him back into midfield, and he can actually play quite that sitting kind of that almost not even that number 10, that kind of sitting player in midfield who can sit and pass the ball, which was quite interesting at the end there. I did anyway.
Quite agree.
He's a really good header of the ball as well. I mean, not just for his goal, and obviously brilliant Hunty cross as well, but he scored a lot of goals with his head at Barnsley as well. So, again, we don't just think, it's got to be Rhodes who's got that, aerial ability just because he scored his first goal that way against Birmingham. I think it's Winnall too. He's kind of, he's kind of a bit, he's a bit chameleon-like. He can kind of fit in many different places. He can run off the back, off the shoulder of the last defender. He can drop a bit deeper, like Rich says, and kind of almost play in that Abdi role, like a 7 almost. And then, and then he can be that poacher in the box who gets on the end of stuff. When the ball's swung in. I think he's really underrated. Actually, I like him a lot, Sam, and I think hopefully he will really. He seems to get us as a team. I don't know. I think he sort of seems to have fitted in really nicely. So that's why it's such an interesting debate, actually. So who is the best foil for Rhodes, and how do you fit everyone else around that? And that's the question we've got to find an answer to, over the next couple of weeks and months.
I'm quite looking forward to finding out whether Rhodes and Hooper could be a thing, because we've always known that one of the things that Hooper does very well is pulls one or two defenders away with his movement. And I think that one of the things that Jordan Rhodes has struggled with a little bit is the fact that because he's Jordan Rhodes, he's always going to have at least one defender, normally two defenders around him at any one time. Now, they can't have two defenders on both Rhodes and Hooper together all the time. So you would think those two, if it can work, is going to free up space either for one or the other of them, or for one of our other attacking players to really do some damage. It might not work, but I'm kind of looking forward to that, to see how and if those two can kind of be paired up together. Yeah,
I think it could be a thing. I think we've missed him. I think we've missed him and Kieran Lee the most. I think their energy, link up play, vision, they kind of are real keys of the identity of how we play, or how we want to play, and how we should be playing. And it's funny because I think we all took a while to actually, Gary Hooper was definitely, someone who was a slow burner, I think, to start off with. But now now he's gone. You really miss what he brings. And I think you're right. You can create an overload somewhere because he will bring players with him. And Jordan, as you say, will just demand that attention anyway, leaving the space free for Wallace or Forestieri or Reach or someone to do damage. So just hope that he's coming back soon.
Did you get any grief, David? By the way,
from who?
From Natalie.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is that Nat's in the Caribbean right now.
Right.
But they do have Wi-Fi over there, and she has, and she was actually quite gracious in victory. So I was kind of, I was all right with it. I just said Daniel Bentley was immense. That was it, basically. So, fair play. And she was like, well, obviously they've only won because I'm not there, blah, 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 blah. It was all very happy clappy. It was all lovely,
Whether you're celebrating a birthday, a wedding or anniversary, maybe you've passed your driving test, or you've landed a new job. Well, whatever your reason for a party, the Riverside Cafe is the perfect location on Catch Bar Lane overlooking Hillsborough Stadium. To inquire about hiring us for your function, call 07989 856 054 or 0114 232 6121. Right, guys, I've just realised the last time that the four of us were, a thing, it was... I think about 2:00 in the morning at Genting Club drinking gin and tonics.
I think 2:00 is quite like.
Well, for three of us it was. Someone had to go home.
I left at 4. I'm telling you.
I think we lasted till about 5, 6.
I think we probably did. So that obviously was the 25th anniversary of the class of 91. Of course, we are in our 150th anniversary year now, and there's various celebrations planned as part of that. And the club have announced another one this week. Now, this is something quite out of the blue, something unexpected that sounds quite interesting. So it's been called the Sheffield Wednesday Dream Scene. And the idea of it is it's going to be a mural that will chart the history of the club in a kind of a dressing room setting, starring the legends of our history. Now, it's quite difficult to put that into words. On the club website, there are a couple of examples of work that the guy that's going to design this, which is a guy called Jamie Cooper, has already done. And this looks like it could be something quite unusual, quite nice, and a really nice souvenir of kind of like the history of our club, doesn't it?
Yeah, I really like this idea. I think so. Story goes that Jamie came to us and he presented himself to us and said, look, don't know if you guys have got plans, but how about this? This is what I do. Would you fancy it? And I think it's just, I think what the good thing about it is that we can influence it. We can say what we would like to have in it. Like, whether it's little sort of, I don't know, little moments or little things that, Carlos's flat cap when he was in the crowd watching Derby last season, and and things like that. Those little details, those anecdotal things that will mean something to us. It's just a picture of Hillsborough or something. And I mean, you could go crazy with this idea. You could essentially make it into a Where's Wally. Can you imagine that? That would be cool. And maybe actually call it Where's Carlos, and we sort of somewhere down the bottom or whatever. But I think it's nice because it's it's just something a bit different. We have a number of like events and dinners and auctions and all that kind of stuff. Of course you're always going to have that, but this is just something that's cool and it's visual. So it's going to be social media friendly. I think it's something that develops, evolves, changes, and that we can influence, so it's sort of interactive as well. So I think they made a really good call with this. I think this is going to be really nice.
You've given me a brilliant idea in there. Where's Westy?
Oh, Where's Westy? Yeah, I like that.
Or where's James and Dom?
No, I've seen them both in the same room now. It's not a secret anymore. They're not the same person.
But surely it's like, I mean, obviously we've got a renowned artist who's a Wednesday fan in Pete McKee, and
that's what I thought.
A cool little collab here with his stuff. You can't not have that in it. It's so special to Sheffield, and on both sides of the city, no matter who you support. But it's very in tune with that. So I'm hoping there's going to be some sort of thing featured with some of his work, because that picture of, it's almost like the cartoon version of Lee Bullen after 2005.
Yeah.
Almost more famous than the actual photo of Lee Bullen sat down against the wall with a couple of cans of of beer down to his side and his flip flops. You know what I mean? So I think that would be something really nice to reflect.
I'm pretty sure Eddie has the original of both. just because that's Eddie. I'm pretty sure, in fact, I think he bought that, the class of 91. Did he buy the original that night, or did he already own it? I'm not sure.
He bought a lot of stuff that night, didn't he?
He spent a lot of money, yeah.
And then bought it again at the class of 91, I reckon.
Although I think we probably spent more on gin than he did on the...
There's not a great deal of other Wednesday news doing the rounds. One thing that I did notice, just before the Brentford game, actually, the club put out a little bit of a news thing just about the number of fast queues. I can't remember the official name for them, but tills that are only accepting credit card and contactless payment has been increased now, and this is the next step towards us becoming a cash-free stadium. So at some point in the future, it doesn't give any indication on actual timescale, you'll not be able to buy anything using cash at Hillsborough. Everything's going to be card or contactless. I personally think that's a brilliant idea because I hate carrying cash around. I'd rather pay for everything with my phone.
You're like the Queen, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I've got images of maybe some of our, dare I say, maybe some of our older supporters being a little baffled by this as a club that barely 12 months ago only accepted cash to now working towards the fact where cash is going to be a big no-no.
Does that mean now we're coming to this as a grumpy old owl?
Yeah. How do you feel about it, Rich, for the over 60s?
Do you know? Go on.
I actually did a good deed on Tuesday night. I went up to a lady who was stood at the back of the beer queue, and I could see she was holding her debit card. I went over. I was like, "Excuse me, you do realise that there's like a bar over there that's contactless and PIN only, and you're queuing in this queue?" And she's like, "Really?" I was like, "Trust me, if it's not real, I'll wait in your space in the queue." And I did, and she came back and thanked me and gave me a little pat on the shoulder as she carried away her 3 beers, and I felt like I'd done a good deed that night.
Do you know though? In all seriousness, it was obviously discussed at the when James was there at the steering group, and Joe Palmer's talked about this, and big respect to him for this because I've noticed the other night the customer service with it as well there is a marked change in how people are reacting to you as a customer, not just a supporter, a customer.
Well, they don't have to count the change, do they? They don't have to work it out. It's happy days.
There's little things about when we walked in. There was a couple of the stewards were chatting to the kids, and I've not seen that before. And the other thing was Riley did a cup of tea. He likes a cup of tea, Riley does. And the cup was leaking, and I took it back, and instead of just decanting it into another cup, they gave him a fresh cup of tea, which doesn't sound a lot. But for me, that's absolutely, miles apart from what we've been used to.
Before 2 years ago, they'd have spat in it, wouldn't they?
Exactly, they'd chucked it back at you. But there is a real big difference. So Joe Palmer's got to get a lot of credit for sorting this. And literally just going up and getting a drink now is just so easy. So easy without having to bother with
cash. Do you know what I miss? I miss the old days where you could go and hire a leather cushion before the match. Can you remember that? You got a leather cushion for your chair.
They all got wanged on pitch. That's why they stopped it, though. When we were playing crap, they launched them. 20 pence they were.
Oh, I don't know about you, David, but there's the 150th anniversary book coming out soon from Mr. Jason Dickinson. Have you been interviewed for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too, David. Me too.
Have you, James?
None of you lot have. It's only me and David.
I declined the interview, much like you did. Yeah.
I was too busy. I put him in touch with my agent, but they couldn't come to an agreement, so it didn't happen.
I met him in the Park Hotel. We went to Park Hotel and we did an interview. It was all very exciting.
Rock and roll.
I could do mine over the phone, but the poor bloke is he told me the other day he's got home after work and then just spent 3.5 hours on it in the evening. Just because he's typing like mad. I don't think it's to do with deadlines or whatever, but he has to keep updating. Because the thing is that he did my interview before sort of the end of last season. So I think he wants to keep the can. And so, he kind of then emailed me to say, anything you want to update? I was like, there's been a fair bit that's happened. So,
Yeah, I've added in my bit now about Wembley. I hope that'll go in. I sent it Rich because it made me cry.
Yeah, it's going to be good, that, I think. And also, I think it's not going to just be one book, as I understand it. So,
isn't it? Are we going to have photos in it? You know, like when you get an autobiography and there's baby photos, you have little baby Garrido, Victoria photos, and then teenage photos, and then photo. We could use that one from the casino. Photo of us now. Oh.
There are some slightly odd, embarrassing photos of me when I was younger, like maybe with a Wednesday shirt on, or a game, or I found the other day. I was back at my folks' place and I found one of my favourite old 90s shirts. So early to mid, gold and purple. Do you remember that? The third kit.
Oh, I love that kit.
Oh, that was a good kit, yeah.
Oh, I remember going to see us play Gillingham in the League Cup, and Waddle scored a goal which shouldn't really have gone in, but fuck it, it's Chris Waddle, so it doesn't really matter. And I remember that I dug it out. I was like, and it had Sheffield Wednesday written in gold on the back of the collar, which at the time was like amazing. And I just absolutely loved that. I was like, I completely forgot that I had it. So I reckon there must be some photos around of I'm sure I remember seeing when Des Walker was at Bisham Abbey training with England, and I went there to see him, and I'm sure there's a picture of me in a really embarrassing pink T-shirt.
Funny you should say that. I've just tried Googling this, and I'm looking through as we speak. There are some good pictures. There's a great picture with a really spiky hairdo.
Yeah, I'm going to say I seem to remember old photos of you in Wednesday shirts, David. So just you be careful.
Oh, okay.
There's some very angry, masculine ones of me where my mum every single year before the first day of school used to make me stand outside her front door, to measure me against the front door. And there's loads really cute little girl with pigtails, until I got to about 14 and decided I didn't want to be a girl. I wanted to go to the football and play football with men. And sorry. And then there's a really sort of angry photo of me in jodhpur denim things with a Wednesday shirt on, and one of those wristbands with stars on it because I was so emo. I'll dig that out and I will tweet it from our account. But that's one of my old photos.
Right, then back in action on Saturday and back to our traditional non-3 o'clock kickoff time. It's a lunchtime kickoff. It's always a lunchtime kickoff whenever we play at Leeds, isn't it? As ever, it's a game that is on TV.
What channel's it on?
Oh, here we go.
Well,
here we go.
I've heard it's on the Sky Sports Mix channel, which is free to view for anyone with a Skybox. Is this true?
You are so on message. It's unreal.
There we go.
I heard someone say in the pub the other night, there are only 3 things that are certain in life: that are death, taxes, and playing Leeds away at 12:15 on a Saturday. And I was like, oh my god, that's so true.
It's so true. It's so true. At the start of the season, I'm not sure that any of us would have thought that this game was going to be quite as important as it actually turned out to be, because we all thought that Leeds were going to be pap again. But I mean, this is a big old game, this, isn't it?
It's monumentally huge, and my gut feeling is this game could be replicated at the end of May as well.
I hate that thought. I absolutely hate that thought.
Or in mid-May twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Which would you prefer? Oh, there's a question.
I would definitely prefer it in the semi-final.
Yeah, me too.
I can't imagine. I think the enjoyment that we got from the playoff final last season, regardless of the result, I don't think that the experience would be anything like that if we were playing Leeds this time around. I think it would be horrible. I really do.
I agree.
So what are our thoughts on this one then? Are we expecting many changes?
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because we've sort of had to make a few changes and rotated a little bit, and it's this time of the season, isn't it, when there's sort of a few knocks, bumps, and bruises. I don't know. I think the second half against Brentford, like I said, is the thing you take out of that night, and you think, let's just start with the same intensity and desire and tempo. Like I said, just speed of moving the ball and moving ourselves with the ball, quite simply. And who is on the pitch is not, I think it's more the attitude of the players who are rather than who. I think in terms of, the choices you've got to make, I suppose McManaman made an argument, didn't he, for starting?
Yeah, definitely.
He's got to start, hasn't he?
Well, has he? I don't know. I think it depends.
Well, don't get me started on Barry chuffing Bannon.
Oh.
Right, let's put it this way. Who are the absolute untouchables in the team right now? Who has to start? Who would be on your team sheet every week? Go.
Kieran Westwood. Yeah.
Westwood.
Glenn Loovens, Sam Hutchinson, Jordan Rhodes.
At any of you.
Oh, David.
Don't laugh. I'm being
Get over it, Vic. Get over it.
Oh.
Okay, all right. That's interesting. Because I think, most of the time, if he was playing, fully on form, you'd put Bannon in there as well. I think Reach has improved. So, in theory, if he's fit, he starts. And, that I think has just become commonplace because he can play both sides, both left back and left mid. And I think right now you cannot not start Forestieri, can you? You've got to start him after his last two games.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt in that.
Yeah. So then what are the other places? Well, it's a question of right back, right mid, left back, and what does that leave? Well, I mean, we haven't got a choice really at the other centre back because it's got to be Sasso if Tom's not fit. So, not sure on that one because I'm not entirely sure whether he is fit or not, whether he'll make it. But the thing is, Wallace or McManaman's a really interesting one for me. I think he will. I don't know. It's really hard to second guess Carlos because he very rarely gives much away beforehand, and he likes to tinker and change. I mean, Wallace has the work rate and probably offers a little bit more defensively. So he'll trap back and he'll get himself about a bit on the right side of midfield. So if you're worried about the left back and you're worried about them attacking us down the left flank, I think that's why I brought him on, against Forest, is because Carriol was starting to really, really threaten down that left side. So Ross gives you a little bit more protection and work rate. But then, McManaman, I think, is if you're going to go for it, you're going to absolutely go for it. Then he's put a really good argument to say, why don't you pick me? It's a difficult one. That I'm not entirely sure exactly how I sit.
I just think that McManaman offered so much more in the second half against Brentford. In my head, it would be difficult not to play him. I take what you're saying about the fact that Wallace, certainly from a defensive point of view, offers that bit more. But I guess it comes down to how Carlos is going to approach this game. To be honest, does any of this matter? Because it's going to be 1-1, isn't it? It's always bloody 1-1 at Leeds. I can't remember the last time we went there and it wasn't 1-1. Every season.
Their main player, and I'm forgetting his name in a minute, is the winger, the really pacey winger that ripped us a new one at Hillsborough. And I can't think of his name off the top. He's a guy I'm concerned about, and if we don't get the right left fullback against him, they could tear us up.
Genuine question here, and I'm glad Lord H isn't on tonight because he'd tell me off for asking this. Would you take a point right now?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't want to sound defeatist. I think, we should go for it and we should go for all three. But if you offered me it, yeah, I think I would, because they're in as good a position as we are. Remember that, we're level on points. I've only got a slightly worse goal difference now after the defeat against Brentford. So it's, and remember, we still have plenty more games to kind of decide who finishes in the playoffs. And, I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest, that's a decent result. Okay, they beat us at our place. We should be able to get our revenge. But yeah, I think I probably would actually.
Vic, would you take a point right now?
No, I wouldn't actually. Mainly because I work in an office full of Leeds fans, but also because I think Tuesday night was a blip. I'm confident. I think. No, I wouldn't take a point. That doesn't mean I'm feeling cocky about the whole situation. But I do think that it's ours to win.
Now, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to change my mind. I wouldn't take a point.
David, don't just copy me. Get your own brain.
Yeah, I'm going to copy you. No, I'll tell you why. It's more to do with the momentum of how we're playing at the moment. And I still feel that, despite the fact we played, 33 games or whatever, that we haven't clicked yet. And we need that one performance that gets us in that mode where everyone really believes, and no matter who's in the team, that we're playing in the right way, in the right spirit. And I think this game could be it. And if we get it right, and we manage to play, in that way with those waves and waves of attacks that we used to last season, and when people hadn't worked us out yet, I reckon that could be a real turning point for us. And I think we've got to not think of it as an away game, because again, we're better at home than we are away this season. But I still think if we can just kind of forget that, treat it as the game as its occasion, a big Yorkshire derby against one of the top 6 teams in this division, and go for it, and not hold back, and not kind of think, oh, how do I counteract that right winger, or how do I protect on the left side, blah blah blah. Why not? Why can't this be the game that then propels us, up towards Huddersfield and Reading, and then then who knows what happens after that? Yeah, good call, Vic. I like.
Thanks, David. Thank you.
I'm converted. Yeah, 3 points or nothing.
Right, fair enough.
Take a point.
I think I'm probably with Rich on this one, but that's just
that's sweet of you.
I kind of wonder whether Leeds would take a point as well right now. Maybe we could just do like a little pact between us. Just say, look, we'll just neither of us will actually bother having an attempt on goal. We'll just both settle for a point. Maybe let each other's keepers score so it's 1-1, because that's the law or something. So, myself, Vic and Rich, we're going to be watching the game in the New Barrack Tavern on Saturday, which I think is opening nice and early for breakfast. If anyone wants to join us, Rich, I believe that the orders are that they should tweet you directly with their breakfast orders within the next 24 hours. So
they'll be more than welcome to do that. Although I will be treating them very much like your very own orders too.
What is your Twitter handle should people want to contact you about breakfast plans?
If you can contact me about breakfast plans, or even you want to go out for a drink with me, whatever you fancy, you can find me at Dickie L.
Vic?
Hello. You can find me on Twitter at Victoria1867, or you can email me vic@thewednesdayweek.co.uk. Just to mention as well, seeing as we're all getting a little bit comfortable now with this whole playoff situation, Dickie and I don't know if you have, James, have booked our rooms in London. If anyone wants... Oh, yay! Oh, did you actually do it?
I did. I'm in the room next to you.
Oh, good. Oh, we can just hang out together.
Where? At Wembley? At a hotel at Wembley Stadium?
Well, David, that's the issue. You see, last time I stayed on Wembley Way, and it was great. You got to see Wembley, and you could roll out of bed like just before the game. However, you didn't get to experience the centre of London. So, we had to get the tube back at 10 at night, and everyone was still going. So, we are all officially booked into the Travel Lodge on Drury Lane, which is the Travel Lodge Covent Garden. And I believe if you book it now, it's £68 a night for a double or a family room. So book, and you can cancel up until midday.
I do live here, so probably not going to take you up on that.
No, well, yeah.
Are you going to invite us all to yours?
Anyway.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But you'll be there anyway, David. So that's fine. But anyone else, book in.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, £68. You can't go wrong. I booked the Sunday and the Monday evening. But like I said, you can cancel.
Are you on commission here? Are you getting commission from Travel Lodge or something?
No, I just think it'd be really good fun. Last time I was stuck with other people off Britain's Got Talent, and that man with the sword and whatever else. And this time I think it'd be nice to just be in central.
That man with the sword.
There's one off Britain's Got Talent that had a sword, and he carried it round everywhere in the hotel, and it was quite uncomfortable. David, you were in that hotel, I think.
I've no idea who the man off Britain's Got Talent with a sword is.
Were you in the Novotel? You were, weren't you?
Did that actually happen? Was there
It did. There's a man who swallowed swords, and he carried it
did have a
round
lot
the
to drink
hotel.
that night.
No, I didn't. He was a Russian
Abusing
man.
Hull City players, seeing men whipping the sword out. Yeah.
There was a bit of an issue with the Hull City player. We won't go into that. But yeah, so book the Travel Lodge. You can cancel it up until I think it's either midday or 2 p.m. on the day. So, and there's nothing to pay out now. So just do it. Let's take it over.
And David, by the way, I'm just going to put this out there. We are still looking for guest bloggers for the WednesdayWeek.co.uk. Just in case you've got, I know you're not too busy these days, what with Sky Sports News and Liga. You've got a spare 5 minutes, you fancy having a go, just putting it out there. If anyone...
I'm not, do you know what I found through the journey that this podcast has taken me on, which it has, that I have
Sorry about that.
really outspoken this time. Like, I think normally I tend to just, I don't know, hedge my bets a bit more. But, maybe I'll have a go. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a rant. It might just be, I just feel like expressing my opinion on this particular subject, whatever it is. So, I might take you up on that, James.
Have a good rant. Sometimes you just feel better for having a good rant. That's all right. If anyone wants to give you a shout on Twitter, David, how would they go about
that? I am at Sky Sports David, obviously. And what else was I say? Well, I'm obviously going to be watching the game on the televisuals because it's on Sky Sports 1 and Sky Sports 6, as you said earlier. And then I'm just trying to see when I can next get to a game because obviously Forrest away I managed to get to, couldn't get to Brentford at home. I'm thinking Villa away. So maybe see you at Villa away because that will be a good game because they're pony right now. They're absolute pony, and hopefully we can get 3 points out of there. But it's a big game that still though, isn't it? If you were going to make the quintessential Premier League, we'd both be in it. So I think that's probably when I can next make it to a game.
Excellent. That will be. I'm looking forward to that one. That is going to be a cracker of a game. If you want to contact me, I'm on Twitter at James Marriott. You can contact the podcast either on Twitter at TWWcast, or you can visit our website, thewednesdayweek.co.uk, where you can find links to all our other social channels or how to email me or Vic or Rich or any of the team. Thank you for your company, and we'll see you next week.